On today's show, the Thunder win a game without centers. How long can they last? And Cleveland starts the season 12-0. But how? We'll talk about all that and more on Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
And welcome. You're locked on to NBA Game Night. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being an everydayer and making Locked On NBA your first listen today. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win. Check that out, FanDuel.com to get started. And joining me, as always, on a game night, Camille Davis of Locked On Bucks. What you got for me?
Man, feeling good. Spent some time with my mom this weekend. So, I have the mother-daughter vibes going. I feel great right now. I feel loved, Nick. Really loved, which I need without my team.
Gilmore Girls?
Nah, no Gilmore Girls. We were, some brunch, some good times, some music.
There you go. Tonight, we'll get into a couple of games tonight. Not as many as we had last week. We had 15 games with every team on last week. This week, we got a bunch of games we'll get into. We'll talk about the Cavs against the Bulls. Cavs get another win, 12-0 to start. We'll talk about the Pelicans, the Zombie Pels, lost to the Nets. What are those two teams doing? We'll talk about the Rockets and Wizards. We got that game. We also have the Kings and the Spurs. Wemby, ton of threes. The Kings, not enough threes. We'll talk about those teams, but let's start here. Our first game of the night, we've got the Oklahoma City Thunder playing with no centers in this game at all. Isaiah Hartenstein has been out, obviously. We've got Chet Holmgren dealt with the injury that they talked about yesterday on the show. Jalen Williams, the other one, the bigger one, is also out. They just have no centers at all. Let's hear from Rylan Stiles from Locked On Thunder about how they got this win.
What a win for the Thunder in this game. The Clippers learned that you cannot play small against OKC. You cannot fight fire with fire. Instead, they go big with Zubac. When they do, they dwindle the lead, but OKC holds on behind a career night, 45 points from SGA, a career high from him. The Thunder get their first win after the Chet Holmgren hip injury, which will sideline him for quite a while. How did they pull off this small ball masterpiece? It was a large part due to grit. We'll talk about it more on today's show.
I feel like Rylan was sending us like a call for help video from like he's like being held hostage in like a nightclub.
The lights flashing in the background.
So loud in that arena. That arena too the ceiling is so low on it that the sound just reverberates so much in it. But Thunder get the win, and this game they had a 13-point lead at the half, and then in the third quarter they took a 20-point lead, but the Clippers came all the way back and cut it to 5 by the end. Norman Powell had 18 points in that quarter, and it came down to the last couple of seconds there. The Clippers burned their last time out with 1:32 on a challenge that they didn't get. Harden had a flop that he just pretty much went like horizontal in the air. That was wild. Lou Dort wins the jump ball on that. Jalen Williams gets a dunk, and that ended it. SG had his career high, 45, like Rylan said. But the big story is they didn't play with any centers. How long can they last playing small ball like this?
They're going to have to last playing small ball as long as they can until they get one of those centers back. Like, seeing them play without a center, they already played fast. And without a center, they were playing even faster. They were swiping at everything in the paint. They were swarming the ball. And once they got the ball, they were out. The fact that they were able to turn the Clippers over 24 times, which was a season high for the Clippers. Yeah, a huge part for them, led to 32 Thunder points. But the crazy thing is, it's not like those points came really heavy in transition. They just use those extra possessions to set themselves up and get something that they like more times than not. So they're going to have to keep that same defensive intensity. They're going to get killed on the boards. But if they can force some turnovers and if SGA can play like an MVP, they might have something.
A career high is definitely playing like an MVP for SGA. Definitely felt like it. They allowed 53 points in the first half to the Clippers and 75 in the second half. I just felt watching this game, it felt like at the beginning, in the first half, the Thunder were just all over the place, and they play this scrambling, run all over the place defense because you have to when you have like your starting lineup is SGA at 6'6", Andrew Wiggins at 6'5", Jalen Williams at 6'5", Lou Dort at 6'4", and Isaiah Joe at 6'3". Didn't start a guy over 6'6". They didn't even play really a guy over 6'6", except for Ousmane Dieng for like a couple minutes there.
Yeah, that's real playing time.
And you got to just scramble all over the place. You got to hound. Like Zubac's only had a couple points in the first half because they were just hounding him. And I don't know how long you can last. Like you saw the war of attrition on that in the second half, where the Clippers had 75 points.
I think part of it too was just the fact that Norm Powell got hot. Like Norm Powell has been on a heater to start the season. The fact that he only had 2 points at half just didn't seem like that was going to be the way that the game ended. Finished with 31 points when he fouled out with a couple of minutes left in the game. And he has been taking on being that starting shooting guard for the Clippers very, very seriously. Like he's never averaged more than 19 points a game in a season. But entering this season so far, he's been putting up like 26 points. He's shooting the leather off the ball right now. Like he helped keep them in the game or get them in the game in the second half.
Let's hear from Darian Vaziri of Locked On Clippers, how the Clippers stayed alive in this one.
The LA Clippers took their first loss on the road this season to the Oklahoma City Thunder, one of the best teams in the Western Conference, predicted by most to get to the finals without Chet Holmgren. Clippers would still be without Kawhi Leonard, but many fans thought it was a winnable game, but the 24 turnovers really killed any chance the Clippers had. Yet we still cut it down from a 20-point deficit to about 4 points and just couldn't come through. James Harden had another rough shooting game, and you figure that the small ball of OKC would get punished by Ivica Zubac and crew, but we were really having trouble with the Oklahoma City Thunder's ball pressure, really getting after our guards and making everything tough, dribbling tough, making the entry passes tough. So we had a struggle to get Zoo the ball, and then when he got the ball, he was making bad reads out of the double teams, but we got him a little more comfortable as the game went on. It just wasn't enough.
No, the Clippers, they don't win this one, but they're 6-5 now. Without Kawhi still, he still hasn't played. How much better are they than you expected? Because they've now played OKC really, really close in a clutch loss. They had an overtime loss to the Suns earlier, and now they have 6 wins too.
Yeah, they've definitely impressed me. I didn't necessarily know what to expect from the Clippers before the season started. I thought they might be a play-in team at best in the West, just given the fact that we didn't know what was going on with Kawhi, who was going to step into that Paul George role that was vacant this season. And again, Norm Powell has stepped up into that role.
He said, "Me, I will do it."
And I mean, they've been finding a way. The defense has been better than I expected, even without Kawhi out there. I mean, they've been finding a way to keep it competitive. Now, if you can get games where Harden is, making more than 33% of his shots, like you're gonna feel pretty good about that too.
He had already kind of moved into that role last year where he just can't be the 35 points a game James Harden anymore. But 9 assists in this one, he had 11 rebounds, and I think that this Clippers team is just a lot different than maybe some people expected. Derrick Jones Jr. I thought had a great one in this one, 20 points. He was all over the place running around, and Zubac eventually got his stats like Darian talked about, 22 points, 14 rebounds. It just felt like it didn't come until the second half when that ball pressure of OKC stopped. They can't just force 15 steals every half anymore. But yeah, this Clippers team better than we expected. Thunder team, we'll see how long they last without any centers. Literally no centers, and for a little while they're gonna have to figure that one out.
Shout out to Kendrick Williams. He came back though in this game, made his season debut for the Thunder. He didn't play too many minutes, only 6 in the game, but that's a bigger body, so to speak, for them to at least try to throw into the front court with him being a whopping 6'6". So hopefully, good to see him back, but they do need the bodies.
They need him for sure. Wemby is catching bodies every once in a while down there in the paint. The Spurs get a win 116-96 against the Kings. The story in this one, though, Victor Wembanyama, great game, 34 points. He has 14 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks, normal Wembanyama game. But he took 22 shots, 12 of them were threes, though. A lot of takes flying around everywhere. Should Wemby ever take half of his shots as threes, Camille?
Half. That's a large part of the shot diet. And I get why you want him by the hoop because he's 7'4", like he can just tip it in over so many people. But him being that height and also being able to shoot is an advantage because who's really going to contest that shot once he gets it off? So I'm not mad at Wemby taking some shots. I'm not sure if half of his shot diet should be threes, maybe a third, somewhere in that range. But I'm not opposed to Wemby shooting threes, especially when he has to touch like this.
He did get 6 shots at the rim, but I don't know. I guess we just expect all 20 of it, like 20 of his shots to be at the rim. We've seen
1985 still.
We've seen the highlights though of him space jamming the ball, like reaching over somebody and just like dunking over him. But yeah, no, I think that he needs he doesn't have that game around the elbows yet, right? Or the Dirk set up a jumper. He's got such a good jump shot, but he just doesn't have that yet. And so once he puts that together, I mean, it's just going to be game over for him at this point. But Spurs already get a win in this one. Good win for them. Got a bunch of guys in double figures, so it was really good to see that from the Spurs. The Kings, though, not good showing from the Kings in this one, I thought. They shot 26% from 3. They have shot under 30% from 3. 6 out of 11 games so far this season. Our friend Matt George from Locked On Kings posted this stat. Sacramento was held under 100 points twice already this season. It happened only 9 times last season. And in 2023, when they were like top 3 in the West, it only happened 4 times they were held under 100 points. What's wrong with the Kings offense?
Not getting up enough threes, I would say, for them. It's a modern NBA where the math problem can become an overwhelming problem if you can't keep up. And this game was a microcosm of that. The Spurs got up 46 threes in this game. Sacramento got up 38, but the Spurs were plus 12 and made threes in this game. On top of that, too, for the Spurs, the ball movement was really good for them. 31 assists on 43 made baskets. And for Sacramento, if you can't defend the three and you can't knock them down yourself, because as you mentioned, they only shot 26% from 3, like it's going to be a long night for you.
Tough one. I mean, they're getting the right guys shooting. Kevin Huerter 0-5 from 3. Keegan Murray missed 4 threes. Keon Ellis, I guess, off the bench, maybe not, their top 3-point shooter, but I mean, the guys that you want to take 3, even Doug McDermott, 1 of 5. That's his thing. Dougie McBuckets, that's your one thing, 1 of 5. I don't know what's going on with the Kings, but go check out Locked On Kings for more of that. Go check out Locked On Spurs for more on Wemby, and all these shows we've got covered on Locked On. Coming up, let's get into the Cavs. They're 12-0, but how are they 12-0? Let's talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile, you've heard about them before, I'm sure, and you've heard that they offer a deal for $15 a month. That is absolutely true. Go check out Mint Mobile, big wireless providers. They always show you something, and then it's what you see is not always what you get. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about the gotchas ever again. Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. They mean it. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at just $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Ditch those overpriced wireless deals with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA, being in every day and listening every day. We have a daily Locked On show that covers your team. Check the link in the description to find a show that covers your team every day, like Locked On Mavs with me, Locked On Bucks with Camille and Justin. Great stuff all the time, and great stuff with Locked On Cavs. Danny Cunningham got you covered for the hottest team in the association with their 12th win of the season to start. Let's hear from Locked On Cavs.
Danny Cunningham here after the Cleveland Cavaliers win their 12th consecutive game to open up this season. They beat the Chicago Bulls 119-113. Donovan Mitchell was fantastic in this game, especially early. He had 25 points in the first half, finished with 36 points for the game. But this one really swung. The Cavs were down 9 in the third quarter. Ty Jerome and the bench won this game for the Cavs. They were down by 9. Kenny Atkinson went to a lineup of 5 bench players. No starters on the floor, and they turned a 9-point deficit into a 3-point lead by the end of the third quarter. So that group deserves a ton of credit. And then, of course, reigning Eastern Conference Player of the Week, Darius Garland, closed things out, was really good down the stretch. Yet again for the Cavs, this is a team that looks tired. They've played 12 games in 20 days. That's a lot, but they've won all 12, and they're off to Philadelphia on Wednesday to try and go for win number 13.
The Cavs get the win in this one. And to Danny's point, I noted that lineup at 4:42 in this third quarter. They had Dean Wade at the 5. They didn't have Mobley or Allen. You want to take a guess on how many possessions the Cavs have played without Mobley or Allen on the floor so far this season?
I would guess it's very low, like 15.
Two before this. They played the last 4:42, and they started the fourth quarter with that same lineup too, because they had played so well. It was such a good move, and I love when coaches just throw like, "Hey guys, we don't have it tonight, and like you guys just don't have the energy. Let me just throw out this random lineup." And for some reason, those guys click sometimes, and yeah, they took a deficit. And they went on a 19-9 stretch at the end of that third quarter. I thought that was just a huge moment in this game.
Good teams find different ways to win. They find different ways to win. Like this game didn't follow the normal profile for the Cavaliers, but their bench came in, stepped up, and did their job. The defense for the Cavs, that was consistent, though. That's what they do, and that's a big part of why they were able to win this game as well. So shout out to the bench because, again, some nights you're not going to have it. And to be able to necessarily rely on them, but count on your bench to provide a spark of some sort, that's important.
Huge. Absolutely huge. We talked about Kenny Atkinson making that move to put that bench unit in there. Is this Cavs start to the season proof that in the NBA, a coaching change can matter and can change a lot for a team? Because that's really the only change this Cavs team has seen from last year to this year, and they look night and day different, it feels like.
I definitely think so because it's not like this was a bad Cavaliers team last year. And JB Bickerstaff did a good job with this squad the last couple of years too, especially given how many injuries they had over the last couple of years that he was trying to build lineups around. But you have Atkinson come in. He unlocks Mobley offensively too in a different way than what he was used prior. Add that with his defensive boom as well and the growth that he's taken, plus the fact that he's been able to keep minutes low, get the off-ball movement going for this team. Like it looks really good for Cleveland.
The signs of growth to me for the Cavs are their offense. Their offense, they were 18th in the NBA in offense last year. So far this year, they're second going into tonight. I think that'll maybe drop a little bit because of tonight's game, but they're second in offense, sixth in defense. They've just been super awesome. They have not had a game where they've shot under league average on effective field goal percentage. They have shot the ball really well. They're taking the best shots. Like effective field goal percentage takes, which shots are the best shots to take, and then it considers those that field goal percentage compared to league average. And their growth is just their better offense. Evan Mobley has been unlocked, like you said. You have any other signs of growth for the Cavs so far this season?
I think it's that defense too. Like just the fact that defense has been as consistent. Like there's been questions around the backcourt and if Garland and Donovan could defend well enough. But when you have those twin towers behind you and what they can do with that, like it's been impressive because this was a game where the three ball wasn't falling at the efficiency rate that they're used to. They don't shoot a lot of them, but they just weren't falling as much as they have before for them. But forced 21 turnovers in this game, led to 35 Cavalier points. Like the defense for this squad has been really impressive to go along with the offensive boom that they've had to start the season.
Little small thing that I noticed at the end, which ended up being massive. 2 minutes left in the game. Donovan Mitchell misses a massive dunk.
Yes.
Wide open, just nobody in the lane. And he tried to throw down like this huge, he cocked it back and tried to throw it down. And it went around the rim and it bounced right out. He was like dumbfounded. It would have been a Cleveland plus, like Cleveland would have been up 9 at that point. Mm-hmm. Chicago then goes the other end and cuts it to 5. Patrick Williams misses a 3 that could have cut it to 1 after that. And then the last play basically of the game that sealed it. Darius Garland got the switch. Nikola Vucevic was guarding him, and he just drives right past him, gets to the lane. Nobody comes over to help for Chicago. He gets the shot, and it was Garland taking the last shot and not Mitchell. And Mitchell was just kind of standing and watching him, and that may be a little bit of a sign of growth from seasons past, right? Donovan Mitchell being able to give it up to somebody with a better opportunity than him.
Started the game off hot. Donovan Mitchell had a great first half, and then you saw Garland start finding his way in the second half a bit more. Again, that's the trust that comes in, I think, with them being teammates for as many years as they have at this point of like, I know what you can do. You got a mismatch, go attack it. I trust in what you got, so handle that. And Garland, I mean, he was Eastern Conference Player of the Week this past week. And Mitchell was one earlier this season too. So like both guards have been cooking in their own ways.
Team that is not cooking in their own ways. New Orleans, they may be cooking down there, but the team is not cooking at all. The Pelicans lose again. They have now lost 5 straight. Let's hear from Jake Madison, Locked on Pelicans, about this zombie Pelicans team.
Pelicans lose 107-105 against the Brooklyn Nets. And look, yes, injuries are a big reason why. No Zion Williamson in this one, who's now going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with a left hamstring strain. You also had no CJ McCollum, no DeJounte Murray, your big offseason acquisition, no Jordan Hawkins, no Herb Jones. The list goes on here. But look, the Pelicans were close in this one, and they had a chance to win, but they didn't score for the final 3 minutes and 35 seconds in this game. They had multiple chances to after a timeout, couldn't get a shot off in time, a lot of dribbling, no real ball movement. This is a team that feels like they're searching for answers right now. And when you look at them to close this game, even with the lack of talent out there, they have won. And I'm not sure that the answer to that is yes, even with the players. There's some deeper things that need to be addressed here in New Orleans. And if they want to get off this now 5-game losing streak, they're going to need to figure it out sooner rather than later.
With all these injuries, this Pelicans team has been turned on its side. Camille.
Yeah.
The video that I tried. If you're watching on YouTube or anywhere, the video, I don't know why, it just turned sideways randomly on me. Anyway, but you got what Jake was saying there. This Pelicans team, they're missing a ton of players, and they're 3-8. They've lost 5 straight. Their next 6, Camille. OKC, Denver, the Lakers, the Mavs, the Cavs, and the Warriors. What do you do if you're the Pelicans right now?
I don't hear a win in that stretch of games for the Pelicans. You just keep hooping. That's all you can do at this point, too, given the fact it's still mid-November. It's not like it's early December or after the date in the calendar where a lot more contracts become available for trades. And you also don't want to make any rash decisions. So just got to kind of keep playing on with some of these young guys out there, giving them their minutes, letting them do what they're going to do. Brandon Ingram had a really hot first half. He was super aggressive, got like 19 shots. Only took 5 in the entire second half. Like, including he was hitting double. Yeah, and there was just not as many shot creators or guys to get buckets for the Pelicans once BI was kind of taking out the game.
On the other side, the Nets, they're 5-6. They would be the 5th seed in the East. What do you do if you're the Nets? Because to me, this team did not expect to be here, at least in the front office. Maybe the players did. Maybe Ben Simmons coming off the bench, he had a nice game. But, man, this Nets team did not expect to be in this moment. And I think if you're the Nets, you've got to make some kind of trades or some kind of moves and fast, because they were even missing some guys in this one and still got another win. That Nets team, I'm watching them because – they got to sell something, because they need a future, and you don't get a future by being 5-6 and ended up being in the playoffs with a team that has no chance to move forward.
You sure don't. You sure don't. You never want to be stuck in mediocrity or in that middle spot, especially when a draft class is coming up like the 2025 one.
I would say they're not even mediocre. They're a terrible team moonlighting as like an okay team because the East is so bad. Coming up, the East is very bad. The Wizards are awful. We'll talk about the Rockets. We'll also play Count It Up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. There's a bunch of fun stuff this week. I had to do Count It Up. We pushed everything around for Count It Up, so I'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds that you can use to get in on the action. Check out FanDuel for any NFL odds, any NBA odds, all kinds of stuff. And right now, if you put down $5, if it's your first $5 bet, you can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. So go check that out. They have all kinds of other stuff. They have the NBA Finals odds. If you're looking at some of these teams, the Thunder plus 500, their odds haven't really changed that much, even with missing some centers. So go check out them, see what is available for you. And while you're there, put down $5 on if you're a new customer, and you get that $150 in bonus bets. Again, it's FanDuel.com. It's America's #1 sportsbook.
Count it up.
Big chicken, baby.
Zion Williamson and porn star.
Take that for that. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
Count It Up, where we count on the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. Let's talk about the Houston Rockets first. Let's hear from Jackson Gatlin of Locked On Rockets on how the Rockets got a win in this one against the Wizards.
The Houston Rockets get the 107-92 win against the Washington Wizards in a game where the offense felt really disjointed at times for the Rockets, with no Fred VanVleet in this game. Only 13 assists on 40 made shots. A lot of just isolation play at times and some really funky looking offense, but they were still able to get the win in large part due to their man in the middle, Alperen Şengün, 27 points, 17 rebounds, 3 assists. Alex Sarr, the rookie for the Wizards, had absolutely no answer for Şengün in the middle. He was getting whatever he wanted. And when things got a little rough and tumble there in the fourth quarter, as the Wizards started to mount a run, trying to get themselves back into this game, the Rockets gave them a steady diet of Alperen Şengün for the remaining 7-8-ish minutes of the game. And that was kind of all she wrote. And then elsewhere for the Houston Rockets, the newly dubbed Terror Twins, Amin Thompson, Tari Eason, absolutely locking up on the defensive side of the basketball, combining for 13 stocks in this game. Amin Thompson got the start with no Fred VanVleet in this one, but right now I'm laying the claim there is no better duo coming off the bench in the NBA than Amin Thompson and Tari Eason this season.
Oh, that is a big statement from Jackson Gatlin there at the end. The Rockets get this win. The Wizards, the 10th lowest scoring game of the season. They only for the entire NBA, they only get 92 points. But that statement from Jackson, what do you think about the best duo coming off the bench?
I mean, arguably, especially when you think about what they can do defensively as well. Bench scoring for a lot of teams, or bench players and bench roles, depends on the team. A lot of teams might be top heavy. They don't rely on their bench to really push up a lead. Just don't lose it. And for Houston to be able to bring those type of guys off the bench defensively, what they can do and the chaos they can cause, like they're in the conversation for sure.
We talked about FanDuel earlier, and LeBron had a moment this week. LeBron had a moment where a fan yelled at him from the sidelines and said, "You need one more rebound. And LeBron said, "I went and got that rebound for that fan," turned around and pointed at him. My question is, what are the chances that guy needed that rebound for a FanDuel or a Prize Picks play?
High. He needed the parlay to hit. He checked the app right after LeBron grabbed that rebound too. I guarantee it, just to see everything turn green. Like, yes, this is what I was looking for.
Absolutely. It was kind of mentioned, like there were some tweets that tried to aggregate this and made it seem like LeBron was getting this rebound for that guy's parlay or something like that. But if you listen to the actual quote, LeBron just said the guy said he needed one more rebound for a triple double. And so he went out and got it. But yeah, the guy absolutely needed that one more rebound for some fantasy or something or something like that, especially in LA. Gotta love that one. I thought that was hilarious this week. Also, in LA, RJ Barrett got an and one off of a play for the against the Lakers. He spins around and then he looks into the crowd. He sees somebody in the crowd and then double takes, turns around. It's Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones, Nikolai Coster-Waldau. And he turns around and just points, Game of Thrones. That's what he says to him. My question for you is, who's a person that would make you double take if you saw them like on the sidelines?
Oh man, Jay-Z. Real quick, I would stop like, oh my God, it's Hove. Like throw up the rock mid game. Like it's Hove at the game.
I think it'd have to be somebody I would not expect at an NBA game, right? Like if I saw Martha Stewart like at a game, I'd be like, I think I would double take like, what are you doing? No,
would you say something to Martha too, though? That's the question. Would you just be starstruck? Like, oh my God.
What are you doing after?
You're trying to get that cooking. You're not fooling me, Nick. I know what it is.
She seems like a fun hang.
I mean, I agree.
It's Jaime Lannister. That was so funny. He turns around, like literally double takes and goes back. NBA stars, they're just like us. When they see somebody famous, like that you see on TV. Karl Anthony Towns was in the news this week because Tim Bontemps of ESPN reported a stat about Karl Anthony Towns that was amazing to me. Opponents are shooting 32 of 35, 91% against Towns in the restricted area. My question is, first of all, how? Second of all, scale of 0 to 5, how much is this a big deal for the Knicks?
Okay, I'm going to say that's let's say a 3.5 right now, because those numbers, like, what's the context behind it? Like, are these shot attempts from the opponents that they're attributing to Cat because he was close by, someone else got beat?
Opponents shooting in the restricted area.
I mean,
bad.
I didn't
that's bad. That's a 4 to me.
I didn't expect Cat to be great around the rim, but I didn't expect 90+% either. Like if this holds like another month out from here, then like I'd raise it. But right now it might just be some fluky stuff happening to start the season.
That's the thing. He's like, helping in transition or something like that. And that's, something like that. But that is a number 91% at the rim for your center. And they're already missing, obviously, they're missing Mitchell Robinson and all that. But yeah, their defense, by the way, is 14 points per 100 possessions worse when Towns is on the floor. Not a great sign early on. Still early. Last one I got for you before we talk about the courts is Giannis on Sunday held out a handshake for Jaylen Brown after an offensive foul, but he pulls it back and goes psych, and then does does that move. Jaylen Brown after the game said that Giannis is a child. My question for you, host of Locked On Bucks, Camille Davis: does Giannis need to get serious, or does Jaylen need to lighten up?
I think they both are who they are. And those two personality types just don't connect well. Where Jaylen is very serious about a lot. He just got elbowed in the face before Giannis did that too. So like, I can see him not being in the best of mood. Then here comes this big giant dude who just hit me in the face and he wants to play around. Like, I'm not in the mood for play. Meanwhile, Giannis is like, I'm having fun, man. Like, it is what it is at this point. So I just think they don't mesh,
Considering the records of both teams, I think Giannis may need to get a little more serious.
Listen, if you can't have fun at this point, like, you really gonna be feeling bad about yourself. 2-8, the Wizards are above the Bucks right now in the standings. Find something for fun, because golly, sometimes these Bucks games, ain't it?
and the Wizards can only beat one team. They only have wins against the Hawks. That's their only win so far.
It would be a simulation, Nick. I can't believe we're here.
Tomorrow, the NBA Cup starts on Tuesday, and we decided to go through and pick our best and worst of the NBA Cup courts that you're going to see starting tomorrow. Your best, the Portland Trailblazers.
Yes, it is a beautiful, beautiful court.
court.
The red outline, the roses, all in the detail of the court. City of Roses. Love that it plays on the city. The gold shines. It's flawless. This is a perfect court.
I usually hate the red, but it's only red on the outside, right?
Exactly.
And the court is gray. I don't really like a gray court necessarily. This one is a little bit darker, which is nice, but yeah, that's a good looking court. The best for me, Charlotte Hornets. They dominate the aesthetic game. I don't know, the purple, the teal. They've got the honeycomb, like the hive thing on the court. They've got the logo in the middle. The hive is alive is a great slogan on the side. I like that across. And then they've got the purple on the outside. I just like this one. I think this is a really good court.
Yeah, it's really nice. The Hornets, like you said, they've been killing like just the branding game since the 90s. They had the best starter jackets back then, and now they have the best NBA courts up there.
If you go through like some of their top 5 players list of all time, you realize that this is the only thing they've been dominating.
Well, at least it's something. It's something.
Your worst of the NBA courts, the Washington Wizards.
The Wizards. I understand that you want to like shout out the old logo with the hand, but the hand across the court, it looks terrible.
It's their
looks
logo,
like a paint, like Microsoft Paint. Like, I don't like it at all.
It's a clip art. It's like a clip art hand, but it's giant. It's if you're listening, it's like a giant like silhouette of a hand like all the way across. This is bad. Then like the pink, like the light pink around the baselines, and then it goes darker to like red in the middle instead of it is just a weird court.
It's not coherent. I don't like it. Get it off the screen, Nick. It's making me
yeah, I was gonna say we're lowering our viewership by just keeping this on the screen. They also don't have a slogan. I guess the District of Columbia, I guess, is their slogan on the side.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's the DC.
My worst. I hate this Warriors court. I hate it so much. I hate a gray court. I hate a gray court so much. The Nets one that they had for forever. Anytime you turn on the TV, it just looked so blah and bland. Also, this Warriors logo in the middle, that's like, it just doesn't look like Warriors to me. I don't know if I'm missing something, but it's just a weird block, like you really thick line W that just tries to look like a net. I'm not about it.
Yeah, I could see that. It looks a little generic, like something that you would get on like a creative court that a random team like the Wildcats plays on. That's an expansion team, an NBA 2K or something. I could see that.
The Westchester Wildcats.
Right.
There you go. Those are our best and worst courts in the NBA Cup. It starts on Tuesday. And guys, thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA. Go check out what's available on all the other shows from Locked On NBA. We've got a link in the description to find all the other ones. Go check out Locked On NBA Midday with Doug, Matt, and Hayes. Guys, thanks for listening to Locked On NBA Game Night. Boom.